everyone. Yeah, my first page, Mary Poppins. Not only because I'm in London, that would be cheesy, right? But I think she's a change manager. A spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. Let me tell you the next 20 minutes how we in Siemens try to facilitate a transformation from a very tactical-driven organization to a more strategic approach and a more strategic organization. I want to start with a number that helped me to create the understanding that we have to do things different. And this is 90%. 90% of strategy implementations fail. I think every one of you have made some experiences with this. We write something on a piece of paper, we put it somewhere, and we check it in some years, and maybe create a story how we have achieved that. So failure is not an option for us. So we did ask ourselves, what can we do? What can make the difference? So let's talk about that. Thanks for the introduction. Just quickly, my name again is Tschentscher. I'm responsible for supply chain excellence and supply chain strategy in Siemens. And I have a master's degree in business administration, also a little bit in psychology. I'm working for Siemens for 17 years now, and I'm for 17 years in supply chain and 20 years in Siemens as a company. And the fields of interest for me is the culture, change, processes, and also relating people. Quickly, before we go to the details, a little bit about Siemens. I think you guys all know Siemens, or you can look that up. But just to give you a rough idea what I'm dealing with, what my organization is dealing with. We in Smart Infrastructure have product, system, and project business. Our community in supply chain is around 4,000 people. We move around 420,000 tons every year, and we have around 160 warehouses that are facilitated in the direction of customer experience and customer service. So all starts in strategy, of course, with a vision. We have one. We believe in a next generation, robust supply chain with smart decisions in a dynamic world, caring for the customer and our environment with dedicated services. And there are some interesting fields in there. First, robust supply chain. We think resilience is something in a status quo. Brace for impact is important in a situation, but it should be not your long-term goal or target. We believe that needs to happen with smart decisions. That's our understanding of using automation, digitalization, even artificial intelligence. It is clear for us that's going to be a dynamic world. Everyone who thinks we're going to go back to a situation 5-10 years ago where we had a single incident, we had time to recover, we were able then to start again, we believe this is not going to happen. We think we will have multiple incidents, we need to deal with that, we need to prepare on a robust point of view in a dynamic world. We want to do this, of course, caring for the customer. That's our understanding of customer centricity and customer experience. And same important for our environment. And of course, with dedicated services. So, now you have a little bit of background. Let's talk what, from my point of view, makes a difference. We all started with understanding what is supply chain and what drives supply chain organizations. And I said before, supply chain organizations are very tactical driven. So normally, we start with a risk, the risk creates an impact, and from this impact, we have what we call a supply chain challenge. We bring our teams together, we create a supply chain response, and then a steady state. Normally, this steady state is not as good as your starting position. Let me give you an example. During COVID times, air freight became a critical resource because we had to fly vaccines, masks, even toilet paper. So what did we do in Siemens? We bring our teams together. We create a task force. we respond to the challenge. We bring in our brand name, our negotiation power, and we are some kind of way able to solve the problem. So we get air freight space. But that is a tactical approach. So if we look what's happening right now in this world, with the areas of cyber risks no one really can judge and understand right now, the cognitive overload that we get, the insecurities that are happening, and the evolving expectations. And let me give you an example for evolving expectations. I've been in the US 3 weeks ago. Amazon is putting out advertising and saying they have same-day delivery. I remember being in China 5 years ago, and Alibaba was already saying same-day delivery. They today say 2 hours delivery. This is evolving expectations. This is something where you as an organization have to find a path how you want to join or not join this. So it's quite clear, a rigid strategy most likely fails. From a starting point from the academics, this is what we're coming up. So what we did? We created a strategic diamond. The strategic diamond is a conceptual base that allows us to identify, integrate, and if necessary, adopt to changes that are happening in the market. This is not short term. So if the house is already burning, the diamond can't help you. Only the firefighters can help you. It's always in the direction of mid to long term. And we do this from market into our strategy. As a diamond has facets, also our strategic diamond has facets, and we start with trends and triggers. We get them typically from research companies, for example, like Gartner, also from universities, but also from our businesses. These trends and triggers we consolidate in focus areas. A focus area is something that we believe, as a supply chain, we have to take this serious and we have to consider this. If we don't do this, we will have problems. Nevertheless, we don't have a solution for that right now. That's a focus area. Focus areas are connected to our strategic activities. Strategic activity is a classical measure with a dedicated timeline, with ownership, with descriptions. Think about like a classical project management plan. These strategic activities are connected to strategic fields. We have defined six strategic fields in our strategy, and we consolidate them into 3 strategic key elements. So with these facets, if you follow me on that slide from left to right, we have in our strategy the triggers that are connected to the focus areas that are connected to the activities, and the activities connect to the fields and the key elements. The interesting point in this is there needs to always be a connection. We do not allow dead ends. So once as an organization we send this is a trend or trigger we need to consider, it needs to be connected to a focus area or we need to create a new one. So this model sparks an ecosystem that helps us to identify the activities that we need to drive in order to be long-term successful. And this is what strategy is all about. Planning how we can win in the future. From my point of view, nothing else. So these are the main 4 fields that we have. Future of work, work of the future. Sustainability and opportunity. We call them sustainabilities. The transformation from resilient to robust. And customer experience by supply chain. 2 of them I would like to deep dive a little bit with you and share some insights so that you have an understanding how this is facilitating our daily strategic behavior. Let's start with sustainability and opportunity, sustainabilities. What you see on that slide, on the right corner, is the strategic diamond. From a macro trend, broadest sustainability agenda, to our focus area, net zero supply chain, to the activities, e-mobility, reverse logistics concept, footprint optimization, last mile concepts, to our strategic fields, top performance and tailored service, and so to our strategic key element, outperform. So this part of the diamond, which is an excerpt for that question, created the logic of our REC concept. REC for us, very simple, is reduce, optimization of the ratio of cost and emission. It's going to be avoid all the areas of mode shift, of freight consolidation, even of freight avoidance. And it's going to be compensating, and compensating is the topic of end-to-end supply chain activities for Scope 3. What are the results out of this? So by today, this is the numbers of fiscal year 22, we have saved 350,000 tons additionally to all other Siemens overall activities. And we have 139 different projects running in our organizations in regards to sustainability. So you can see the spark that the diamond does. Let's take the second topic, the transformation, resilient to robust. I stated before, we think resilience is important once you have an impact or once you have to brace for impact. I think we should not continuously try to brace for impact. That's not good for your organizations. That's not going to be good for yourself. So again, on that slide, you see the trend and trigger that we started, driven business transformers, our focus area, a robust supply chain with time to recover, with supply chain design, and with a winning mindset. And then you see the activities, some examples here, there are much more in the system, but to give you a glimpse, the reverse logistics concept, modular supply chain stress tests, integrated business planning, and smart DCs. And this is again connecting to our strategic fields, top performance, tailored services, and so to our strategic key element, outperform. With this, we took our large digital twin landscape that we have in Siemens. I'm lucky because in Siemens we have, honestly, millions of digital twins. The magic happens once you connect or interlink them. So what we did is we put this all together and created what we call the Global Value Chain app. And this is a connection of a risk radar, of an integrated business plan module, of an inventory checker, and an impact engine. And this now allows our organization not only to do things right, but really to do the right things. How does this look in numbers? We are able to save around $4 million in costs per year, and we have an inventory reduction of 15%. So I told you a little bit how the diamond was created, why we did the diamond create, and also I gave you two examples in regards to how the diamond with this ecosystem is sparking activities so that we do the right activities, that we invest with our resources and costs in the right things. So the ecosystem, just to give you a glimpse, is basically driven on awareness, implementation, focus, and supervision. And you can imagine that in Siemens, we have a lot of additional commercial and technical controlling tools where we have to feed in. So for example, productivity has a dedicated tool. We have a dedicated control tower that we apply. So there are a lot of things that participate in this ecosystem. But what you can see on that slide is basically that if we bring this all together, you see that the activities, the diamond, and the fields around create something new. They create something different. So, looking on the diamond and what I told you the last 15 minutes, what are the offerings of the strategic diamond? First, the strategic diamond is enabling supply chain executives. You can easily, with our landscape, tell not only what and how you're going to do this, you can tell why. And why in two directions. Why we do this to facilitate our strategy, And why we do this? To facilitate the trends and triggers that are happening in the market. That is tremendous important for a cultural change. The second thing or offering of the strategic diamond is it is minimizing the risks of delays of strategic implementation. It is continuously visible. You can see why and what we're doing. And it's not that we forget things or write things in paper and put it somewhere. The diamond is maintaining a high level of strategic relevance because we only do the things that make sense. And they are clear visible in the system. And the most important point for me is it's creating a strategic, supportive culture. At least in my organization, we have hundreds and hundreds of years of experience. And unfortunately, experience at one point becomes toxic. I have seen this, I have been there, I have done that. It will never work. So the question is how you overcome that. With the strategic diamond, and we have, for example, for our workforce, for our community, a ClickSense application where they can go in and they can easily click on one single activity and see why I'm doing this for our strategy and why I'm doing this for the market. So this is what is helping. So for me, closing up, the strategic diamond, the supply chain of the future shines like a diamond, a strategic diamond. And before I hand over back to you, I want to end with Mary Poppins again, because I started with Mary Poppins. So let me end with Mary Poppins. In every job, I'm sorry? Better not. There's too much glass around here, I think, okay? In every song and every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. You find the fun and snap, the job's a game. With this, I want to hand over to you. And in case someone wants to connect with me,
yes, Alex, I thought we were going to have to break into a duet there, which would have cleared the room. Yeah. I guarantee that. Alex, thank you very much indeed. I'll go to the room for any questions. By the number of phones that have gone up to take pictures of various parts of that presentation, I'm expecting some. So we'll go to the back first, please.
Hi, it's Stuart Snow from Breaking Silos. You started off the presentation with Mary Poppins and the 90% number, right? So 90% of the what was the word you used? 90%.
It's strategy implementation failure.
So you've got 139 projects now going based upon the diamond. Let's focus on the positives. How many of those, percentage-wise, will be a success? Because the original number was 90. The diamond has brought your baseline to where?
No, it's like the first slide is going to show you that 90% of all strategic implementations, that's based on academic research, fail, so they don't reach their final stage that they have planned in the beginning. So that was our starting point to say we don't want to go this way. What I showed you in the example is that we have 139 projects globally in my organization running on the topic of sustainability, which means the 90% has basically nothing to do with the individual projects. I think the important point is that what you mentioned is that you have to concentrate on the things where you believe they make sense in regards to the strategy and make sense in regards to the market. So what I can say is, out of this 139 projects, every of these projects makes sense in both directions. That's what the diamond guarantees. So I would say in best guess, pray to the gods, sing your songs, we should be able to achieve all of them.
Okay, thank you, Alex.
Yeah, go ahead.
But just wait for the microphone, thank you.
So what function did you put around that? How did you have to change your internal teams to adopt that? Did you have to restructure your teams? What did you have to do to make sure that was a success?
In Siemens, we are kind of lucky because we have a matrix organization, which means you have a lot of different responsibilities. I always say, like, we have 1 million of responsibilities. We have very limited accountabilities. So you find the accountables and you're winner. So already the organization itself facilitates this because I have, like, in different regions, I have my contacts. What we made is we made a decision not to create a formal organization. This is an agile concept with core team members, with influencers, also guardians to make sure, and this is all more or less a social network that we created. Because we don't want to say like, you are responsible for strategy, or you are responsible for sustainability. How should that work? I don't like organizations, I know in Siemens we do the same mistake, is like, I'm the head of quality. Because like, who's responsible for quality? Every one of us, right? So you cannot put a function or a name on a function. That's the one thing. The second is you should never create like functions around persons or this kind of logic. Does that a little bit refer to your question? Perfect.
Okay, we've got time for one more question if there is anything further. No, I'll have one more question. That was the slide you brought up at the end about a strategy supporting culture, which is the dream for anyone who's trying to implement any new strategy. What advice would you have for anyone in the room who has a strategy but wants the culture to go along and support and reinforce it?
Yeah, take anyone you have. That could be your friends. That could be, go to a kindergarten. Take your strategy and check if they can understand it. They're going to give you feedback. And based on this feedback, you're going to always see the main question you're going to get is, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? It's not that we understand the steps that we need to make, it's why. If you start with the why, Simon Sinek has this fantastic book. I don't get any money for that, but start with the why. And this is what we took in here. We want to make sure whoever you are, the guy who is opening the doors in the office, the forklift driver on the shop floor, when they ask the question why, we should be able to answer. I think that's the moment where you get this tipping point. Where people say like, I'm part of something. If you just tell them you have to do this, there's a saying, we call this like Bavarian, I'm from Munich, Bavarian argumentation. The patio is closed because it's not open. Yeah? Yes, that's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah? You have to do it because you have to do it. But that's not going to change the culture. So my recommendation would be start with the why and make the why visible.
Okay. Alex.
Thanks for being here. I go off here.